We are live and I am recording this call. Everything is working. Hello.
Amazing.
Hi, I am Ly Aunapu and I'm a transformation coach, a women's circle facilitator, creative writer, podcast host. And I am talking with my fellow coach and friend, Joanna, today.
Hi, I'm a consciousness consultant and a visionary and an author of The Inside Hustle, a mystical misfits travel adventure into the unknown. Ly and I just thought it would be great to come together, just have a really casual chat, because we have amazing chats all the time, and then we think, oh my God, other people would love to hear some of this. It's probably, quite inspiring and fun, and just, yeah, it's a good time just to share knowledge and wisdom, especially during these current times. So we thought, why not we'll just hop on and record one?
Yes. And we thought about, what is it that people really need, and one of the things that we want to talk about, so hopefully it's going to be like a series of talks if we are excited to do that and you guys are getting a lot of value out of it. So we want to talk about different patterns. And today we want to talk about seeking. It's one of my favorite topics because that's what I've done almost my whole life.
Been there, wrote a book about it.
I just wanted to say. Exactly. Seeking.
Yeah. And we've both had very similar journeys of seeking in different ways, And I think it's really fascinating when you really come to the realization that when you are in that energy of seeking or searching or looking outside of yourself, it's actually not only disempowering, but it is putting energy elsewhere when it really should be with you. It's I had no idea when I was sort of like on this really constant mission of searching and seeking that I was sort of perpetuating an energetic loop that meant that because I was in the energy of seeking, that is the only energy I was going to be experiencing, is more seeking, more searching. It just like fuels itself, into a loop or a pattern. And so it'll appear in different kinds of ways, and you end up going down, I guess, different paths and rabbit holes with the whole thing. But you don't actually realize that if you're in that perpetual loop, then you're probably not going to find an answer, because that's not what you're embodying. You're embodying that energy of seeking or searching. And therein lies the problem, that you can't actually have the answer if you're in the energy of seeking.
But you focus and that's what you're going to get,
Yeah. So it's exactly putting more energy and focus in that seeking. And then, and not that there's anything wrong with investigating or being curious or, finding different ways of approaches and trying out new things. But it's very much when you, I think, start to get fixated on searching and the next thing and trying this and trying that. And especially if you're looking outside of yourself, and this could be anything from, astrology to a spiritual teacher to a healing modality, to any of those things, it actually is it's taking all the power away from directing it inside, which is where really the gold is, and that's where we get the most answers out of all this stuff. I think all these tools and things can be helpful along the journey of consciousness and transformation and change, but I think we misunderstand that we're going to find the answer in something else when it's not the case. It may be a little clue, or it may be a little rock to look under along the way, but it's not necessarily going to be that box of treasure that we're kind of looking for, or those beautiful feelings of and when you're embodying your true nature and you're in complete alignment with yourself.
When we, before we started recording, and we were also chatting a little bit, like, what do we want to cover? And one of the things that I think we'll definitely gonna go in depth is, I feel like there are two sides. Like, there's one side is people who are constantly seeking, 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 and that's where we're going to end up. We're going to end up in that seeking mode. That's all we're going to get. We feel even more lack inside. Because the more you look for something, you realize it's not enough. It's not enough, right? And
Yeah.
there are people who don't resonate with that. And sometimes we can even say, okay, I don't need to look for anything. So I think I wanted to emphasize that here. Just really stay open, because if you don't, maybe you don't necessarily resonate with that form of seeking. I personally think we all have done that in some shape or form in our lives. So just stay open, because we don't want to just stay closed either and say that, you know, that's what I've never done, you know, and I don't need to look for anything, while that's not true either. So do you want to maybe share a little bit about how your, you know, journey with seeking was about? And I know, like, it's going to take a long time. You wrote a book about it, so people can buy Inside Hustle.
I mean, well, the thing is, you know, I just had this, I mean, I was having a great career in advertising, and it was successful, and I was getting promoted, and it was creative, and it was fun, but there was something deep inside me that wasn't fulfilled, wasn't deeply satisfied with it, you know. So when I left New York in advertising and decided to, I thought really what I was doing was I was moving to London because I thought there's less visa constrictions, which means that I will have a more potential to be able to find a career that's going to fulfill me. And, you know, when I ended up going there, you know, I did that Camino to Santiago along the way to get zapped, because Shirley MacLaine in her book had said that it realigns and recalibrates your energy, and she had all these amazing mystical experiences when she was doing it, which evaded me entirely. But the point was, you know, every time I was sort of looking for this deep fulfillment within, I wasn't finding it in the ways that I was looking for it, but I just kept looking and looking because I wasn't satisfied. So, you know, when I couldn't find it in career, then I was also looking for it in my personal life, in relationships, and learning new skills and heading in a different direction of my passions and energy, spirituality, and consciousness, you know. And so I was really just, you know, I was really embodying that energy of searching, seeking, trying to figure out what would really deeply fulfill me, you know. And it took me all around the world on all these different adventures and experiences and you know, realizations within myself. So that was, I guess, my journey that I almost needed to do, you know. I had like someone write in about the book saying that they absolutely loved it, but I was frustrating at times because they didn't understand what I was looking for, really. But I feel like it's an innate human quality almost to be searching for something. I feel like we're all, because we've all kind of been conditioned into a society that's disconnected, really, at the root of it. Really what I was searching for ultimately is connection within myself, you know. But I thought I was going to get it from a career or finding an amazing partner or, you know, like climbing a mountain in Africa. That's going to make me, you know, really. And it's just not, that's not what it is. It is really, I was wanting that incredibly deep connection. And but with myself, you know, I came in with a pretty awakened level of consciousness. I've always had it since I was growing up. I didn't realize that other people didn't really think about things the way I did. And so I knew I was already having these experiences that were mystical or couldn't be explained. I was seeing auras. I was having people just arrive in my life unexpectedly, giving me messages. I was, you know, I was having visions, all spontaneous, none of it because I was meditating or doing whatever. It was all just, you know, my experience. And I really, I knew that there was this other unseen part of life that I was really connected to. And I wanted to definitely connect to more of it. So that was part of my motivation. But I really understood after going through that journey and coming home to myself that it was really about this deep connection within. And, you know, since I've written the book and had some of the feedback from people experiencing deep shifts and changes and alignments, and now freeing up to experience more synchronicity in their daily lives because something's triggered them and they're inspired by it, and it's opened them up to think about their life and things in a different way, freed them up even. And that is this amazing deep fulfillment that I was kind of searching for, to be honest, and so I think, I would never have done it any other way though, because all of those experiences actually led me to where I am today and have all contributed in a cumulative effect to my wisdom and understanding. And it was really more a process of getting myself out of the way, away of all the goodness and amazingness that was already there, that I was just disconnected from, distracted with other things. But I was thinking the answers were somewhere where it wasn't. I really didn't fundamentally understand that part of my answers were what I already was. I was just not allowing myself to embody that because of the looking outside of myself all the time. Yeah.
It's interesting because sometimes, like, this is my story as well, definitely, that's why we are chatting about it,
You're gonna tell me some about yours now too.
Yeah, I guess the seeking as well, it can show up in different forms. There is that kind of seeking that people often think about is like, there's a better place somewhere, right? There's a better person for me, so we're always looking for that improvement with our lives or within ourselves. But then sometimes I think that seeking can be hidden as well. It can be hidden when people deny their desires. They deny what they truly want in their lives. So they just numb it out, using different distractions, and of course we know alcohol and all of these things that are very easy to spot. But distraction can sometimes even be that I'm just too busy to focus on my health and well-being, too busy to ask, what is it that I truly want? So, and I think I've done both. Like I really like this, but the seeking inside me has always been there, like to fill that void inside me. And at some point in my life, it showed up in a form of like looking for adventures, like yourself, just wanting to travel, wanting to have amazing experiences or dates or relationships, or looking for the love outside of myself.
Totally.
And at some point it became a spiritual search where I was like, this I don't know, tarot reading will change my life. This will give me answers. Just tell me what I'm supposed to do with my life.
There is that element of wanting. I think that's to the point of trust in the self, right? Because we're just looking for answers outside of ourselves in whatever shape or form that comes, in. And we don't, that literally in the act of looking for an answer outside of yourself, you are automatically energetically disempowering yourself, and you're also confirming a lack of trust within you, that the way, that you have the answers and intelligence and deep wisdom within you to move through anything. And I think the trust element is so important. I had no idea all of the ways I was creating this lack of trust within myself. And that energetic disempower completely dismantled my frequency. So I wasn't even operating on a full cylinder. So no wonder I was like, flailing all around a little bit, because I just wasn't, that really breaks up your alignment within. And we need beautiful internal alignment to get that deep connection to open everything up for us. That's when things open up, when we're really present in that moment with ourselves and in incredible alignment. That's for me when I've opened up to all sorts of experiences and gifts. It's just a beautiful place to be. And I guess that's why I called it the inside hustle, because at the end of the day, it was just all about that. But the trust element, I just really didn't realize how I was breaking trust with myself all the time in these little things, and just ignoring the little nudges, thinking, when you're inspired to do something, thinking, oh no, later, I don't have time for that now. All of those tiny little ways that we behave with ourselves is actually incredibly important in
Mm.
cementing the relationship we have with ourselves, you know. And I just wasn't, that awareness didn't come to me until you know, recently, in the last sort of like 5 or 6 years, I guess, or 7 years. Like, I just wasn't really at all aware how I was disempowering myself.
You know, this is what I told you before we started recording as well, that, you know, I did all this spiritual search, and at some point I realized that, you know, this is not the way to go. And at some point I also judged myself a lot for doing that, while not realizing that, okay, it was an important part of my journey. It actually took me where I'm at right now. So there's no need to judge it, but it's just no longer serving me. But I also realized when I started my business, you know, the same pattern of not trusting myself was showing up again. It was just wearing a different dress, you know. It didn't have like spiritual, you know, dress on it, but
Yeah.
it had that business dress. And what I mean by this is like, same pattern, just same pattern showing up in a different form, where I again felt like everyone knows the answers. And that's how it can, you know, show up in the form where we start, I guess, doing all different programs, signing up for freebies, but never taking action. So this is the thing what I always say, because I know a lot of the people who are probably watching it, you know, in our audience, are also seekers in their hearts, total seekers, right? And there is nothing wrong. There is nothing wrong with like signing up for things. There's nothing, I'm a coach, right? Like, I wouldn't do this work if I wouldn't believe in this.
Yeah.
But it's the energy behind it.
So that's the most important thing I was just about to
The
say.
most important thing.
You know, it's a major difference between like, I'm trying to find the answer to, oh, I'm in a curious place of wanting to open my consciousness even more, and I wonder how that's going to show up, and maybe I'll try, you know, like, but finding that the answer is sort of like in the here or whatever is very different to the energy of exploration or curiosity, or, you know, it's so important, the really subtle differences that we have when we go about things, and the intention behind it, it just changes the dynamics and energy of something entirely. So it's really crucial to get that point of view. And I love you know, what you're saying about the patterns appearing in your reality, because I really love this idea about looking at reality with a different lens, and decoding our reality, understanding that, oh, hold on a minute, the same issue that I was having with my mother is now just showed up with my best mate. And actually, I remember a few years ago, it showed up with my colleague. And then, you know, understanding that is all the same thing coming for you to bring awareness to you, to sort of like wake you up out of that pattern, and choose differently in the way that you react or manage yourself or approach it, or even just bringing that awareness in to change your state of being within yourself about it, is, you know, how that happens. And that's why I find life just so amazing. To me, it's just like one great big treasure hunt, you know, like all the time there's these, you don't never know what's going to happen, really. I mean, I know even more now.
We think we do, you know. I always love this sentence, God is laughing when you're busy making plans.
Yes.
And this is so true, you know. We pretend we have control. But that's also another, like, I always use this term, radical responsibility.
Me too.
Yeah, of course. And that sometimes it can sound so heavy for a lot of women, radical responsibility, right? But what it ultimately is actually, it's very empowering. It's knowing that you create your reality. You are in charge of your life.
Yeah.
And it's actually about trust.
Totally.
That's what radical responsibility is about. It's trusting yourself. Knowing it's so deep in your bones that you know what's good for you.
Yeah. And some of the experiences, you know, we judge them as good or bad, or positive or negative, or, you know, ideal or not, what we wanted, what we didn't. But sometimes, you know, what we want or think that we need may not really be exactly what we want or need, because we're not looking at it with the fullness of ourselves, or from a heart-centered point of view. We might be coming at it purely a bit more anchored in the mind, which isn't the full picture. And therefore, you might be rerouted slightly, or, you know, something might not come to fruition that you were really banking on. But, you know, when we are attached to outcomes and controlling of what we want, then inevitably for me, it just slightly goes awry, because the way that we're energetically interacting with those things means that it isn't really in proper alignment with who we are. You know, there's a unnatural form of control and attachment that's going on there at play that, you know, we've been kind of conditioned to in the human experience. It's not any, you know, fault of our own. It's just the way that we've been really taught. And I really feel like, especially for me, the last 5 years have been about a process of unlearning how to live.
Yes.
So
Absolutely.
everything that I thought was how I was supposed to do it was not how I was actually really, was really going to work for me, I guess. You know, like, for example, going from doing and that really productive, got to achieve, got to get my goals, got to climb the ladder, to just a state of being, and understanding that when you're embodying that state of being in alignment with yourself and connected to your heart, that everything actually comes into your reality naturally that you need. And you're not having to fight ahead, and you're not having to sort of like do with this crazy energy of go all the time. But, you know, you're really understanding when it's time to take inspired action, or whether it's time to sort of sit back and allow a space of breathing room and just centering in the self, and then things pour in. You know, it's about surfing those or navigating those energetic ebbs and flows. I think a lot. I've really learned a lot how to do that over the last recent years anyway.
I really like what you said about unlearning, because it's not about becoming someone who we are not. It's becoming who we are, more of who we are. And this is what I say. It's like, it's so easy to say, be you just do you. But the truth is, a lot of people don't know who they really are, because it's exactly like that's the process of unlearning, choosing again, like this, even like the career I chose when I was 19. I went to university, studied something, you know, and thought that this is what I want. Asking yourself again, like, is this what I want? Or maybe that version of me did it because it sounded cool. I thought it's gonna bring me a lot of money, or maybe make my mom happy. You know, maybe it's time to question those things.
Definitely.
It can happen. It is the scariest thing, because it's the scariest thing. Maybe one day to wake up and realize that the person I've been married for 20 years is not the person I want to be married for another 20 years. So it can bring up so much. But then my question is, what is the alternative? What is the alternative? You know? So we need to do this unlearning process. Like, this has been the most, you know, messiest journey, but I wouldn't choose anything else.
Me neither.
It can be fun. It can be fun as well. It doesn't have to be a struggle. You know, often people think it's a struggle.
Yeah,
of course, it's challenging. It's not easy to look at our stuff, but it doesn't have to be struggle.
Yeah, and I think we perceive it as a struggle because we have been conditioned to view something as the right way things should happen by the view of society, life in general, you know, the way that we should be in the world. Whereas when we really get to the heart of the matter, it's not about any of that stuff, you know. It's really about our own connection to self, our own connection to the divine intelligence that runs through all things, and how we interact with that, and the magic of this beautiful journey of life. You know, it's just when we're viewing the lens through the conditioning and the sort of generally approved state of the masses, I guess, of how things should be, then of course it's going to feel like a struggle, because it's not about that at all. And so, you know, if you are sort of viewing it through thinking that that's the way, that's the ultimate, and that's what should be achieved, and then things turn out not to be like that at all, it's going to be a shock to the system. But then when you sort of wake up to the fact that that's not really what it's about at all, it's much easier to navigate those ups and downs, ebbs and flows, you know, charging ahead and pauses depending on what's happening in your reality. And understanding, I guess, just on a basic level, that life is happening for you, not to you. Yeah.
What do you think about, trusting the universe versus, taking radical responsibility and being your own creator? Where do you feel is the balance, and what are your beliefs around that?
I do think it's a delicate balance between the two. There's an undeniable energy at play that I understand deeply and cannot control. I mean, I was really, really taught this with my book and the timing that it came out, and it wanted to be born during COVID. I wanted it to be born 2 years earlier, and I could not understand, and I was so frustrated by why things were being delayed, and it just seemed like it's just taking so much longer than it should. And it had its reasons, because now everybody is really prepared to sort of question things on a deeper level, to understand that maybe there's different ways to go about things, maybe to understand that there's different things that are actually important in life than what they thought, based on the old model of how we were living and now where we're at. And so for me, it was a big lesson in understanding that there is the divine intelligence that runs through all things, that was very much having an active presence and had its own energy in that creation. But I had to know when to charge ahead with it and know where to pull back, because when it didn't want to move forward, it didn't want to move forward. It didn't matter what I did. I couldn't force it to meet my human timeline of what I thought was a good idea, so it was very much, I think it's a delicate balance, because you can't just sit back and expect things to happen when you're not doing anything. I feel like it's really about understanding the relationship with yourself and understanding and decoding your reality and the messages that you're getting from that, combined with the natural ebbs and flows of energy that's happening on a broader level than us and our human vehicle. And all of it adds up to, this creation energy to evolving and changing, because everything is in a constant form of change. Nothing stays the same.
It's very interesting. I used to often think in the past that, when I was frustrated, something didn't work out, and what if that's not my path? What if it's not meant for me? And I think it confused me in many ways, because now I realize that I believe that what you desire is your path, and of course, like, what you desire is, again, what is intention behind it. It's not like superficial desire.
Yeah.
It's something that you truly want. That is your purpose. Because when we talk about seeking, there's this big part when people are seeking for their purpose. Like, this is one of the main things when people come to my coaching, is like, I don't know what I want to do with my life. What is my purpose? And we also see purpose as this thing that is like one profession, right? And we look at people who are maybe studying medicine their whole life, they're doctors their whole life, and maybe they're super passionate about being a hairdresser or whatever it is. And we are so like, oh my God, I don't have that thing. I don't know what is my purpose.
Yeah.
Purpose is not your career. Purpose is not your profession. Purpose is something in your heart. It's that drive, the feeling, that, and this is something you bring. You can't go and look for it. It's already inside you.
Totally.
This is like life-changing for me, because one of the things that I was doing was seeking constantly that purpose. And then, if I had that belief, what if that's not my path? But now I'm realizing it changes. I don't believe there's this one way, and if I'm going to make a mistake, everything goes to shit, Like, there are so many ways we can go. There are so many different paths that we can choose for ourselves.
Oh yeah.
And I think that will like give a lot of relief to so many people who have been just searching for the purpose.
Yeah, the thing is, what I really came to be is that the purpose is everything I already was. It was never not there. I just couldn't see it.
Totally. Absolutely.
I couldn't see it. It's like I had blinders on or something. It's like the penny didn't drop in my being that, you know, that all of my beautiful uniqueness that I was is exactly what I was sort of in a way looking for. I was looking for that deep fulfillment of understanding of myself, I guess, and I also thought it was going to be a career or something that I was, you know, like going to be deeply fulfilled by in that kind of level. And, you know, I always thought it was vocation driven, but it isn't. It's actually not at all, because, you know, your purpose can literally be in anchoring and holding a different energy on the planet, you know, without doing anything outside of yourself as well. But it's interesting that when we talk about this feeling kind of fulfilled and uncovering exactly what we are, it's almost like we come into more alignment when we have that awareness. We come into that deeper connection within that allows that more awareness to open up about who and what we are, because it's just sort of, as we said, it's not anywhere else, and it's just sort of hidden under layers of stuff, which is no fault of anybody's. It's literally how we've come into this human experience, and how our environment that we've been brought up in, and the societal, you know, conditioning, depending on where we are in the world and all that kind of stuff, weighs into all this additional layers that is around us that we sort of are navigating through when we are looking for seeking of that something that, you know, I didn't even know if I really could put my finger on what it was when I was really doing, because it was a lot of different things. It wasn't just the purpose. It was like this deeper connection with myself and the divine intelligence within all things. You know, I really wanted to connect in a way that I'd never had before, you know. But when you bring in like a bigger idea as well, that isn't just about your individual human self and actually is about the bigger picture, it's quite interesting how the energy is really supportive in that way. I think when you blow it out a little bit as well, it's I guess just noticing that with the book, it's almost like it's helped out, because I was wanting to sort of help other people who went down many rabbit holes and on this constant journey of seeking. And I thought, gosh, if I can shortcut someone else's journey by reading mine and being like, oh, well, this is what I realized from all that stuff. So you could just be like, oh, right, okay, I'm going to take a different approach now and still have all these amazing experiences that weigh into where we get to, but without sort of going, you know, so much down the rabbit hole here and there, I guess, you know. And as we said, we wouldn't change it, because without all of it, we wouldn't be here and I wouldn't have the stories from my book. But yeah, I think it's sometimes when we align with a higher purpose above ourselves in a human way, it's even more powerful. I've been just getting hints of that coming through in all the work I've been doing with people recently. Yeah.
And it's like, what a beautiful paradox. Like you let go of seeking, and that's where you find what you've been seeking, you know. It's like, this is what we were discussing as well, about ultimately we want to build up trust, you know. And there are of course so many tools we can share. Unfortunately, there's no seven step formula, you know, to build up trust and you know, your connection with yourself. You know, there isn't. It is a messy journey, and it is your journey, you know. It's so personal. It's so personal. It's also one of the reasons why I love coaching so much, because coaching is not giving you answers. You know, sometimes even my clients have said, like, tell me. I'm like, but I don't know, you know, I can't tell you things.
I was that client as well. I was people, and I was like, why won't someone just tell me what to do? Why won't someone just give me the answer? Like, please. Oh my God. Energy healers, psychics, life coaches, like, you name it. Like, all part of the path of investigation of trying to get someone else to, you know, give me the answer.
And I
Yeah.
think that's coming back to this, what we talked about before. It's what is the energy behind it? If you go there with an open energy to see how is that like helping you move further in your journey, or you go with that desperate energy, oh my God, this has to change my life right now. It has to give me the answer.
Mm-hmm.
It's two very different energies.
Yeah. Similar to
Same.
relationships, right?
I just wanted to say, yes, same.
I think every woman knows that by now.
It's like, think about, you go to your first date. Are you going with an intention to have fun and, you know, be curious about that that person, or you're gonna go like, okay, let me see if this is going to be my husband, you know, or wife, you know, and you're just like tick tick tick, you know, like, oh my God, like this is not the energy you want to go to your first date. So please don't do it.
Yeah. Yeah, very much so.
Hmm. What do you feel, you know, what do you feel have been some of the most powerful tools that have helped you to build your trust, have helped you to become who you are today?
I think a lot of the tools that get you out of the head into the heart are really powerful. Because for me, this was quite a distraction, and it really took me out of myself into other things. Whereas when you really anchor in this space, this technology, it is quite game changing, really. And then equally, that is building the relationship with yourself that we're talking about, you know, with trust and all that kind of stuff. I guess I've used a lot of different things and at a lot of different times to help me navigate my way. But really the ones where I was going further, exploring, I guess, myself and tuning into my own energetic ideas or my own energetic coaching in a way, was when things really blew open. And I guess that's how you trust yourself, you know, because you're willing to follow things that might not make any logical sense whatsoever. You're willing to put yourself out there and be vulnerable in a way that you never have before. And then really understanding how my thought patterns were really affecting my emotional body, my physical body. I mean, I was so mean to myself. I mean, really, 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 really awful. And just that constant telling myself that I was doing it wrong, that I didn't know the answer, that I needed to seek for something outside of myself, when I needed someone to tell me what to do. I need, you know, because I was just at a loss as to how to put it all together or understand that I didn't need to do any of those things. And part of what I was doing was conditioning myself further and further away from where I wanted to be. So when I realized fundamentally how much I was at play and I was in my own way, and then I would use, you know, little different processes to train me out of that. Choosing, I mean, it doesn't have to be anything complicated. Choosing different thoughts, catching yourself when you go to something negative, flipping you out of a vibrational state when you're feeling a bit, you know, down, and not letting yourself be buried in that for a while. Feeling the emotions and acknowledging and identifying, not stuffing them down. You know, it's little tiny subtle changes in behavior that was really what it was. It wasn't like I did some amazing intricate tool that I went through a 5-step process and it gave me this, you know.
I think I'm so glad you said that, because I feel it's the main thing that's holding people back from really, you know, breaking through from that seeking pattern is that they don't believe, they're still thinking that it's going to be something groundbreaking.
Yeah.
You know, it's going to be coming with a big boom, you know, your whole life changes. Sometimes it can happen. Like, I've definitely had moments when something changes my whole life, but most likely it's not going to happen with a big boom, you know, with a big boom, bang, whatever. And it's about consistency,
Yeah.
and people don't like
Yeah,
consistency.
you're
They
right.
want quick fixes.
Yes, you're right. Consistency is one of the fundamental keys in any kind of change. You've got to just be making these little tweaks and adjustments. Like I call it course correcting. And you just got to be more conscious of yourself and aware of yourself and your behaviors and your triggers and your actions and reactions and emotional state and all of the little bits that make up who we are. And when you become uber conscious of all that stuff, you really, I think you get a deeper understanding of where you're putting yourself wrong, because really it all comes back to us with that radical responsibility, right? We have the power to change any of that and choose something new. We've got the power to wake up every day after going to bed and letting all of that go, whatever happened, you know. We've got a choice whether to be holding on to the past wounding of whatever was going on, or just accepting the gift of that experience that it was at the time for us, and that it has allowed us to get to where we are now. And, you know, it's just those very subtle, simple little tweaks in course correcting yourself in reality that make the hugest difference, I think. Yeah. And the continuing to do that on a daily basis, moment to moment, you know.
Absolutely. One day you look back and you're like, wow, I've come a long way, you know.
Yeah.
But that's what I also say sometimes when I have programs or workshops. I'm like, if you join the program and you think this is it, like this, like 7 weeks gonna change my life, can change your life, absolutely. But it will change your life if you're gonna continue practicing the tools that you're learning. There's no such thing that I do this coaching session or psychic reading or energy healing or whatever it is, ayahuasca ceremony. It's not like after this everything will change. It will change if you decide so, and you continue with a new awareness that you took on board. So I think that's the big difference. That's like my biggest wish for everyone who's doing this personal development work, that let go of that attachment to this outcome, you know, let go of that quick fix mentality. This is a new way of living. Ultimately, this is a new way of living. It is not a new way of living for 2 months, 3 months, 1 week, you know, you host a retreat. It's consistency.
Yeah. And I think I really understood that I was living a double life at, you know, a lot of my life, because I had my passion for energy and spirit and that whole world, but yet I was doing that in the spiritual closet, and then over here I was like, you know, successful in advertising, party girl, social, going clubbing, like all that kind of stuff, and those two worlds really didn't meet at all. And they were like, you know, I very much a double life kind of mentality. And then now recently I've understood that I don't want to just meditate or do this practice and that practice, then go into my day of my normal life, and then, you know, and then come. It's not, nothing is separate anymore. It's very, very much more embodied within my moment to moment living of my everyday, because I'm consciously living. I'm not creating these compartmentalized ways of being, and even with different people or different audiences or whatever. It's just like, this is what it is.
And you know, it's not like, okay, meditation, I'm meditating for 20 minutes, I feel so calm, but then I go to work and I lash out at everyone, you know. It's like, this is not how it works.
No.
We practice, like, why we meditate, why do we have all those personal development tools? It's almost like practice for real life.
Totally.
Ultimate goal is you don't need a meditation. The ultimate goal is we don't need any of this, that it's those tools are just working through us. You know, like how do you show up in your life? And that's what I always say. People say, I want to make a huge impact in people's lives, and I want to have like thousands and thousands of Instagram followers. And then I'm like, why are you asshole with your neighbor then? You know, you want to make an impact.
Yeah, oh, totally. Very much so. You've got to, yeah, it's like literally walking the talk. You know, it just doesn't happen any other way. And I notice when you really start to do that and embody it on a different level, on all levels actually, then you really come to this much more content state within yourself. You know, it's like a real space of calm and connected in alignment, and I really enjoy that sort of deep space, I guess. But I was going to say to you, we're talking about all these patterns, and even with clients this last week, they're like, but how do you break patterns, Jo? And there aren't sort of different ways to approach it, but what do you do? What are your little techniques for breaking patterns or loops?
Oh, it's very complicated. it's easier. It's easier than we would think, actually. And I think I always say it starts with exactly what we talked about, energetical commitment. And what I mean is that you have made a decision. First of all, you take that radical responsibility that it's not a coaching program that's going to change you. It's like you attending the coaching program, and then doing the work, right? This is taking radical responsibility that you can change it. And then really deciding that no matter what, you are done with it. Understanding that this pattern is no longer serving you. So usually I do actually give even for those people who need more like breaking it down and their left brain needs that food, like it starts with awareness, like really seeing the pattern, like really seeing what the pattern is, and understanding that this pattern has served you. It has protected you from things. Up until now, there has been a role. And the understanding that it no longer has its role in your life. So you want to let go of it. And it's funny, sometimes I ask my clients or people that I even, friends that I'm helping out with, I'm like, are you willing to let it go? And not always I hear, yes, of course. There's often this like, oh my God. And that's it. Like, that's it. If you have this hesitation, right? We want to work on that. Why are you still hesitating? Where is that part of you that still believes that this like bad pattern is somehow good for you? And then, that's when that energetical alignment comes to play, that when we realize energetically, oh my God, really is no longer serving me. Sometimes that's all we need. There are moments when it's just
that.
Sometimes just like that, and then you can even do just journaling if you want to get even deeper into it. But sometimes all there is. So I think the challenge starts because we resist it. We first resist it because there's part of us that doesn't believe we can change it. We think it's more complicated, and we keep coming back to this pattern. So this is just a very, it's a starting point, but it can be so powerful. It can be life-changing, actually.
Definitely. But I think, and I also experience, those that sort of say, yes, I want to change. But when it comes down to actually changing the behavior, because you need the awareness shift is the first step.
It's the first step.
And then you've got to be mindful of your behaviors. You've got to choose something.
Embodiment.
Yeah. And you can't expect to be living the same way, even when you've had that awareness, and for things to change. It has to be backed up by actually behavioral changes of you not doing it the same as before and choosing a new way of being. And
100%. It's like that one part is knowing, and I think we're really good at it. That's what I say that we don't need more knowledge. We don't need to learn more things. We need more embodiment, practicing what we talk about. Because I feel like so many people who are in this personal development field, done a lot of work on themselves, they can talk hours about limiting beliefs, understanding how they're sabotaging themselves. But then my question is, if you know all of this, just look at your life, and look at the areas of your life that are not working. And that's how you know if you're embodying it or not.
Yeah.
And this is where I always tell myself, if there is a disconnection between what I know and what I embody, that's where we need to do the work.
That's where the work is.
It's like, don't post on Instagram about being courageous. Talk to your boss, have that complicated conversation. That's how you embody. That's how you break the pattern.
Yeah.
But I think awareness is very important, because often when people are not aware that this is the pattern they're running, and there's part of them on subconscious level that believes it's still something they need to hold on to, of course, it's going to determine their action. But it's not gonna, if you're not gonna follow through with it in practical reality, that's why we stay stuck. That's why we go and consume more information, read another personal development book, listen to another podcast episode, maybe even hire another coach, because, you know, we talk about those things, but then we're not taking action, and we're not getting any results.
It's that classic, you know, when people go to retreats and it's all like high energy, change, la la la, and then they go home and they just slip back into old patterns and it just disappears because it's not been carried through or embodied or sort of, you know, stepped into on a deeper level, and making all those tiny little changes that we've been talking about that add up into, you know, big change, you know.
Every single moment, life gives us an opportunity to really walk our talk. You know, this is, and it's like, it's up to you if you take it or not.
Definitely. Yeah. Beautiful.
Is there anything else you wanted to say about this?
I think I feel complete with that.
Yeah, me too. It somehow happened at the same time, you know. We haven't even agreed, you know, like what we just like went with the flow. And
I know. I was like, that feels perfect.
Oh, I really enjoyed sharing some thoughts around, you know, seeking and looking for answers outside of ourselves. I really truly hope that someone who is listening to this really, you know, is not only getting inspired, but just putting this into action. And that would be my...
I mean, yeah, I just thought it's always fun to have chats to you, you know, and I know we're going to be doing more of them, which is really exciting to me. So I also really hope that even just a simple awareness shift for somebody would be beautiful to come out of this. And just, you know, just think about things in a new way, allow an openness of investigation into your state of being and yourself. And you know, it's the perfect time to do it now when we're in this pretty crazy reset planet-wide. Yeah, and I think it'll be maybe in the next chat or the one after we can talk about that kind of stuff. I think that's where we're heading.
Yes, we are going there.
Yeah.
If anyone has any questions, please write it in the comments box, and we're happy to get back to you. Let us know your thoughts about it.
Yeah, I'd love to hear.
I enjoyed it.